Hi guys, it's Stribbers and welcome to episode 6 of PGR2 Road to Platinum in the arcade mode. So we've completed all of the street races, got all of those on Platinum, and we're moving on to the timed runs. So we've got 4 to do today in the perfect match section, timed run 1 to 4. So we'll be kicking things off with the standard Vauxhall VX220, 2 laps of a track in Stockholm, and the target is 156. So what I'm going to do is I've put a little a time on the left hand side there of what you need per lap to complete this. Now that's not saying that every lap has to be under 58, but if you were to do 58 on both laps you would get the target. So say if on the first lap you go slightly over 58, then you'd need to go a lot quicker on the second lap to go under 58 by quite a bit more. So looking at this track and this car, it's not actually too difficult. You've got quite a wide track here, and the VX220 is quite a stable car anyway, quite smooth to drive. So overall, it's not too bad this one, not too difficult. I was still getting a feel for the car at this point, so my second lap is a lot better than my first lap. But overall, it's not too bad. So we're coming down the straight now after the first lap. So we'll cross the line and see what we get. So we do get a 57.5, which is half a second quicker than we needed to go. So that puts us in good stead for the second lap. If we can put in a similar lap to that, then we should be fine. So come around this first corner. You can brake, not late in this car, but you can brake sort of on the line where you need to, because the brake's pretty decent. And I think the car's pretty light, so you'll get away with it. Again here, braking, getting close to that apex. Accelerating on the way out, getting near to the outside of the curb there. Now on this section you can pretty much go flat out through here. You get the right line through there, you can go flat out. And you just want to follow the line here. I could have gone a little bit wider there. Then I brake here and get as close to that apex as possible to really minimise that distance around there. Try and get the best time possible. And as you see, the timer is ticking there, but we've got plenty of time, and we actually do a 56 point something. It might have been a 0.6 or 0.7. Unfortunately, it doesn't show you the time for the last lap. But as you can see, we passed that one there by 1.7 seconds, so I'd say that's fairly comfortable. Anything towards a second and over is pretty comfortable for a timed run. So that's the first one down. So I'll move on to number 2, which is a lot harder than the first one. So we're using a Honda Integra Type R. 2 laps again in Hong Kong this time. So it's going to be a little bit harder to do this one. As you can see, the auto start there. You do actually hit the wall on the way in, and it happens every time, which is a bit strange. But you have to carry on regardless. So we need 49.8 per lap. And this took me quite a while to get this one. This car understeers a lot more than the Vauxhall that we were driving, and it's not particularly quick either. It's not a brilliant car overall, and the track makes it pretty difficult. So the first section there is not too bad. This corner here is pretty difficult to do because it goes quite narrow, so it's quite easy to overcook that and hit the barrier on the left hand side. This one's not too bad. You can get quite close to that apex. It is kind of hard to get the speed through there. And this last corner is very difficult to try and get right without hitting the inside of the barrier on the right hand side there. But as you can see, we get 49.9, so we are a tenth too slow for what we do need. So that means the second lap's got to be at least a couple tenths quicker than what we need per lap to make up for that. So again through there, you've actually got to brake fairly early in this car, because it does tend to slide a bit if you brake too late and turn. It's not got the best brakes. So you can go pretty much flat out through here, just a dab of the brakes to turn it in there, get out to the left hand side, then whip it round to the right there. Getting a bit wobbly there on the way out, but stabilising it now. Again, getting close to there, that was better than the first lap through there. Making sure not to hit the left hand side, but going as quickly as you can. And then pulling around here, trying to keep that speed through there, and we do, I think it was a 49.4 or a 0.5. So it was just enough to pass. As you can see, it's literally somewhere between a tenth and 2 tenths, so it's very close, that one. And it did take me, about, well, I don't know how many attempts, but it took me quite a few attempts to get that one done. So definitely not the easiest one. Much harder than the first one. But that's that one done at least. So we get 5,600 kudos for that one. Not too bad at all. But we've got 2 more to do in this episode. So we're moving on to time run number 3 now, where we're using the Pontiac GTO in Chicago. 2 laps of this track, and the target is 144. And this one's much easier than the second one. It's probably on par with the first one. Maybe not quite as easy, but we need 52 seconds per lap here. And I actually managed to do this one on my second attempt, which is the same as what I did on the first one, the Vauxhall race. So it's quite easy to get this car kicking out, making it slide, so you've got to be really smooth with it. Try and get the smooth lap in there, quick lap. This part can be tricky through there, to go quickly through it without hitting either barrier. Get early on the brakes here, get close to that apex and then wide on the way out. And through here it's easy to kick the back end out, so just go wide with it and just don't put full power down. Probably could have gone a bit wider and cut in a bit more there, but it's alright through there. And you can just go full whack through here, full throttle. So on the first lap we get 51.4, which is 5 tenths more than what we need, or less than what we need, should I say. So that's very good. That puts us in very good stead for the second lap. So even if we make a mistake, and that was very close to the barrier on the inside, that's what can happen if you go too close. But we managed to just about get away with that by a pixel width. Come around here pretty quickly. Not quite as good as the first lap, but definitely good enough. Whipping over that curb, again braking fairly early there. Making sure not to hit the inside of the barrier and also the outside of the other barrier. Going wide out onto the curb, cutting into this corner. Going a little bit wider again. I went a bit too narrow that time, but I was able to cut the curb. And again, you can go flat out through here. Taking us across the line. And it looks to be a little bit slower than the first lap. Maybe a 51.5 or 6. But as we can see, when we finish there, it's nearly a second we pass by. So, again, that's fairly comfortable. Not quite as much as the first race, but certainly more than the second race. Certainly more comfortable. And we get 5,850. You don't get too many in-game kudos for the time runs, but it's not too bad. At least you get the 5,000 for the platinum completion. So pretty good, that one. So we've got one more to do in the episode. Time run number 4, which is going to be in the Nissan 350Z at Barcelona. 2 laps of this again, so all the races in this are 2 laps. A little bit more of a precise target this time, 153.75. So it leaves a bit of a strange target for each lap, but it is 56.875. Is what you need per lap. Now, I found this one difficult to do. It felt like an easier target than the second one, but I couldn't seem to get the consistent laps in. So it took me quite a few attempts, probably the same amount of time as the second one to do. But I do think this one is an easier time to beat. Now the Nissan 350Z does understeer quite a bit, so it is a little hard to get used to. The brakes are okay though, not too bad. So we can go smoothly through there. Have to ease off slightly through there, but you can go flat out through this bit here. And this last corner I found the hardest to get right in this. Little dab of the brakes there, and then try and stick close to this apex and just power through. Could have gone a bit quicker through there. So we'll have to see what we do for the first lap. So it's a 57.0, nearly a 0.1, so we're a couple tenths slower of what we need to be. So this second lap needs to be a lot quicker. There's a lot of raised curbs on these corners, so it's best to try and avoid them as much as you can on the apexes there. Because if you hit them too close, you go on 2 wheels and obviously it stops you turning, which happened to me quite a few times, so it is a little bit annoying to try and get used to that. Going too wide through there. Should have gone closer to the apex. Again, come around this corner, you should be able to just ease off slightly. I don't think you can go full power through there. Sticking nice and close there, can go full through there. And then getting nice and close to this apex. Probably a little bit too close that time. But a nice enough line through there, and we can power on the way out. So we'll have to see if this was enough. It wasn't indeed, it was a 57.3 or 4. Or 56, sorry, was it? 56.3 or 4. So it wasn't too bad in the end. Couple tenths to pass though. Pretty close. Mainly due to that first lap being so much slower. But so the second and fourth event out of those 4, I'd say, are definitely the hardest ones. Going to take more time to do, but they're not impossible, and I think that 4th one is easier than the second one. And we do get 5,907 kudos for that, so that's pretty decent. Quite happy with that. But that's all those 4 done, guys. So in the next episode, we've got time run 5 to 6 to do in the Deja Vu section. All these ones have got 4 laps, so it makes it a little bit more interesting, maybe a little bit more challenging. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you did, please like the video and consider subscribing if you want to see more content, and I'll see you next time.